horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Burns.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Sunday Sermon, a crackerjack show I've got for you today. And two proper bar stewards are with me today. John Lang of John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook. And as always, Lorne Marvo is back. I'm hoping that he'll be a regular occurrence this show. How are you guys? Are you both well?
All good, thanks.
Any up here at bust?
Yeah, I could just see your face saying that, John. Yeah. I mean, let's first talk about Ascot yesterday, and what I found was interesting, guys, was the fact that Betfair are 25% down on turnover since last year. I find that an incredible statistic in just 1 year, and also. I'm told it's one of the lowest, according to BetAngel, it's one of the lowest of all time for the Royal Meeting. Thoughts on this? I'll come to you, Lorne, first. What could be the reasoning behind this, do you think?
Oh, you've asked me a question that requires an original answer, and I'm not big on originality. But I mean, is there any sense of where that money's gone? Has it gone into has it gone into bets with fixed odds bookmakers, or do we get a sense that people are just getting bored with the underlying product? For my part, I just think the product's more boring than it's ever been at any time in the past. I mean, I struggled to get any great enthusiasm for Royal Ascot this week, and I suspect I'm not the only one. So I just think the product is on its deathbed, really, and probably reflected in those figures.
I mean, that could be some of it. I mean, we've certainly got no concrete evidence. The only evidence I've got, obviously, I've suffered personally, and that's when I've had tremendous problems with my Betfair account in terms of affordability checks. And there's so many people I've heard that fell by the wayside of these checks because they were basically calculating on gross deposits rather than net deposits. So if you were winning, it didn't matter if you were winning. If you said put in 10 grand into your account in last week, the sirens would go off. And if you weren't willing to provide bank statements and mortgage statements and everything else to them, they weren't laying you back on. And I think that's something to do with it. John, do you think that's something that could be to do with it?
You just worried the living shit out of me when you said the sirens go off. If you're putting too much, I must be at the point where I'm going to have to sell a kidney.
Another one? How many you got?
I'm more machine than man these days. I think the problem therein lies with racing and its refusal to sell this sport as a betting medium. I mean, I tried to have words with Rod Street this morning, but as expected, there was no response to my tweet back to him. He did a tweet saying racing loves to beat itself up on a regular basis, but every single race from Royal Ascot broadcast on terrestrial and digital TV this week is something to celebrate, and what a tremendous week it was. Well, I've put racing as a bigger problem, in my opinion, in that it's far too ready to pat itself on the back. When as the races this week have shown, its performance has been way below what is required for so-called championship racing. How can a middle draw straight track rule you out of winning? And again, that stems from a punting perspective, which generates the money. If people don't think they can win, or they think somebody's playing with a double-headed coin, they're not going to play.
Yeah, bang on. I mean, the way I see it is that bookmakers now for I'd say for the last 5 years definitely, that they're not selling the dream anymore that you can win big. It used to be when I was growing up that you could, if you were good enough, you could go on track. You could have £500, £1,000 on no problem. You could go anywhere you want. I used to go into Sheffield Fitzallen Square. There were 4 bookmakers in Fitzallen Square. I used to go. I'd get £200 on a 4-1 shot, no problem in each bookie. So I would have £800 on at 4-1, done in 5 minutes, and then back off home. I toddled. Now in this day and age, you can't. For example, you can't go into a Betfair or something like that and win more than £100. If you're a stranger and you back a horse to win more than £100, they sometimes refer that to management, or they'll make note of you. You wouldn't last 5 minutes, like trying to get bets on. So they're not selling the dream to anyone that wants to do it. So therefore, if you're relying on levy funding, you're not going to get it because people aren't being sold that dream. That's how I see it.
But the dilemma, and not being an apologist for ITV or a Racing Post, is the problem is that in the wider society, gambling is the new tobacco. So both the Racing Post and ITV, for them, gambling's the elephant in the room. So they've got to try and find lots of other things about the racing experience to highlight to make up for the fact that they can't promote gambling as the main reason anyone switches on ITV Racing on a Saturday afternoon. So hence we have, endless features on, the buffet that some of the top Johnnies are enjoying at Royal Ascot. You've got fashion pieces, you've got the social stable and all that kind of stuff. But actually the central reason why people switch on is gambling, but they can't promote it because, doubtless they're going to get their wrist slapped for promoting gambling as a recreational endeavour. That's the problem they've got, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's certainly not a big price. They're gonna ban gambling advertising. I mean, not a big price.
No.
So yeah. So there is problems for racing going forward. Lots of problems for the BHA. I'm sure that they're well onto this and they're on the case. Anyway, we'll move on to the review of yesterday, which was certainly an interesting day. Wasn't my best day by any stretch of the imagination. That was crap yesterday. John, how was your punting yesterday overall?
Better than he's had been since Juan Elcano won in about 5 years ago, it seems like.
I'm going to say, I know you picked out the Golden Gates winner at a bigger price than what it went off at, Fox's Tails. That was good.
I got away with that one. It was probably a hearty vote of thanks to Sil for jumping ship, I think, there. And just as an aside there, I thought he rode a deplorable race on the owner's other one. Boating it into the lane, and then I went to strangle it when it went keen on him. It seems like we're turning into a Knox Hill show, aren't we, at the minute?
I think with good reason, to be honest. I think, especially the last couple of seasons, his Class 1 results. I've looked at some stats on him today, and they do bear it out. Class 1s in the last couple of years is poor. Mops up all the crap. But when he's asked to ride in Class 1 races and probably use his brain, there's not a lot there. Cheshire, we'll start there. Anything in that took your eye? Start with you, John. Anything that took your eye?
Well, I thought for a change, I thought we actually had a nice 2-year-old race. I mean, people say, it's because there were 2 big yards that fought out the finish. But I did think they both looked 2 nice horses, these 2. Aiden's horse showed tremendous guts, I thought, because I don't think that was suited to the ground at all. I think there's maybe 2 ways Gosden's horse could go, mind you, given the breeding and that, and Grady Betty's penchant for breeding nutcases. I probably wouldn't want to be back in that anti-post for anything, but I could see Point Lonsdale taking very high rank among Aiden's 2-year-olds this year.
Yeah, for me, I said on the Friday show that the gate on this it's got a big stride, and I do like the horse going forward. I was a bit disappointed in Ryan that he was a bit negative on it, and the horse was sort of taking a little bit of a grip early. They weren't negative at the Curragh in the maiden. They just bombed it straight out and got on with it. And for whatever reason, he wanted to take a pull, and I didn't get that, because I thought the horse just basically galloped. So you're not riding it for foot. I mean, it didn't overhaul the Queen's horse by a turn of foot. It just wore it down. So I never understood the taking a pull at all. He just did. I even said in running, I thought there's no upside there. And basically, I'd had a small bet on it pre-play, and I laid off my stake out shorter than SP because I did feel that was a mistake from Ryan, and it nearly was because the pace was only modest, and obviously Frankie nearly got away with it on Reach for the Moon, and it only just got wore down close home. So I was right, Ryan was wrong. So I've no idea why he took a pull. Maybe it's they want to teach it to race differently. I don't know, but it wasn't a punter's choice anyway. Any thoughts there for you, Chris?
No, I mean, I tell you what I did, though. I did actually bet the winner, which was extraordinary, but I echo those sentiments. It did seem to take an age to get going, didn't it? It just sort of almost, it wasn't in slow motion, but it seemed just to gallop the other one into submission a little bit. And I thought it was a bit odd that they sort of held it up and rode it for a turn of foot, which it clearly hasn't got at this point. So, yeah, but whatever. It won.
It's more of a futurity horse than a Dewhurst horse, I would say. That'd be where I'd be leaning with that further down the line. They'll obviously mop up some crap in Ireland in between and so on and so on. But that's where I think Point Lonsdale will end up. Right, we'll go on to the Jersey. Creative Force. Mikey Olding was very keen on this on ATR. I wasn't. I didn't think it was stay. I was badly wrong. Absolutely pissed up down the middle as well of the track, which everyone thought, well, that's not the place to be. So, John, Chris, thoughts here?
Ooh, I mean, I was quite impressed by it actually. Given the fact that it came up the middle, I thought that was. I mean, I wasn't expecting that either. So yeah, I mean, it was an impressive performance, but it was a bit so what. I think it didn't really set the pulse racing, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, John. Anything in this that you thought either caught the eye or?
I thought it handled the conditions admirably, but I thought there was a hell of a lot in the race palpably failed to handle the conditions. I mean, I was amazed at Khartoum. I mean, that never went a step.
No.
No, I was disappointed. Obviously, I had a big bet on that, and
yeah, I mean, considering that had won on soft at wherever the hell
at Naas.
Yeah.
Naas.
They
weren't delighted with that, were they? Afterwards, Aidan wasn't.
No, I mean, I think you should have expected an awful lot better from that, even though it was like up in class. I mean, I was very surprised how badly that ran. And as I say, I think it was one of the few to cope.
Yeah, again, I don't. It's turn of the week, really, John. But I'm left a bit flat by it in terms of like form going forwards. But
yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it'll work out, but that's what it just left me a bit flat. Move on to the Hardwick and another expensive race for me, where I did my bollocks on Ilarab, which patently, well, on this occasion, didn't handle the step up in class. So I was wrong there. John, anything that took your eye here?
I mean, I haven't seen any evidence, but visually, I thought it was a bit patchy pace-wise. I thought that they started okay, and then they slowed it down, and it looked as though they didn't know whether they wanted to go like a swinging sort of gallop or crawl initially, and I don't think that suited a lot of horses in this, Ilarab included. I mean, you'd have to be pleased for the winner and what have you, but I don't think she's done any more than run to a rating, really, because otherwise you've got Brum would have probably been nutting 120, which I'm sorry, I mean, all evidence points to the fact that he's not a 120. I mean, if you give her running to a rating, he comes out at 118, which is probably about where he is at his absolute optimum, and you give him Thunderous 112 as well, which again, it'd be open to debate whether he's got anything approaching that in the bank either,
Yeah. Do you think Highest Ground's sort of gone, dead?
It ran to the same rate, and I give it at Leicester, 104, which is probably all it is, really.
Yeah, surprised how that's regressed. Chris, anything for you in here that
Well,
caught your eye?
Well, Ilarab, I mean, he was beat a long way out on that, wasn't he? So I'm not sure whether that horse actually gave his running or not. But I knew he was stuffed, I think, when Haley Turner tipped it up. So I think that was rip the fucking slip up at that point, wasn't it, really? I mean, we're done for. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Right, we'll move on to the Diamond Jubilee. Dream of Dreams winning. And the Stallion, John. The Stallion. He's had 50,000 on it, according to the slip he was holding up in the posh pad on bloggers' Twitter feed. 50,000. Dream of Dreams, John.
I think they've probably put the decimal point in the wrong place and let him keep the ticket as a memento. When they corrected it back to his father, that's the ticket he's actually handed in to get weighed in with his score.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if I had 50k on a horse, I think it's been cashed in by now and back to the bank card.
Yeah.
I certainly won't be parading it around to be getting it overhead.
It was 50,000 Zimbabwean pounds, though. So, so I think it's about 8 pence, isn't it? I don't know that, Mob. I don't know whether that's right or not. It doesn't seem right to me, but I'm always wrong. So.
When United had such a bad day, we were selling BJs in the car park after race.
Anyway, back to the race. Dream of Dreams winning the race for Sir Michael Stout. He's only winner of the of this meeting, but it's one better than he got last year, John.
Yeah, it's about as good as he could have hoped for, really, given the team he sent. One or possibly two winners this week. I suppose he'll be fairly satisfied with that. Maybe it's really a race that probably worked out okay. You could make a good case for Glen Shale, at least I thought I did. Art Power was very solidly backed, wasn't it? Tim's horse, and ran a very solid race, really, trying to lead all the way. You just can't see those tactics paying off for it in races either around here or maybe even Haydock, can you? So I think they've got a problem there. They need to take this to just maybe drop in behind a little bit or something, because it's not going to win over 5 at York either. So,
do we think Sil was a bit aggressive?
Here we are. We're in the Knox Hill Club again, aren't we? But yeah.
Well, he seemed to want to kick, quite early, I felt.
Well, this is it, you can't imagine Tim saying, well, get out in front and keep improving your position. So, I don't know.
I thought it was Harry Skelton riding that, the way he kicked so through. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
He kicked 8 out, didn't he? That was it.
Yeah. Acceleration all the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think if you put like maybe O'Sheen on that, I think that it's probably going to go close there with Dream of Dreams. I think O'Sheen and Irene less busy, I think, than what Sil was. But there we go. Dream of Dreams does it for Stout and made Mikey Holding happy on ATR. I get quite addicted to his voice. It's quite soothing on a bad day.
Don't you get sick of cricket and become a racing pundit?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah. Do you know what? I like the way he speaks. He also speaks like a punter, and I think that's what he's lacking a lot of the time. It's either form book speak from Lynch and a few others on ATR, or it's complete and utter idiots like Alex Hammond that just offer nothing. And I just thought Mikey was extremely refreshing. So
he's got an amazing voice, hasn't he? I mean, a little tip here, you don't ever go for a drink with him and Tony Cozier because you got no chance whatsoever of pulling. We've both got these wonderful deep brown voices, and I sound like Harold Bennett on acid. So, you're outside of a 3 by a long run.
Right, we'll move on to the Wokingham. And it was won in impressive fashion, really, the way it did it, coming from last just about to first. It was a ridiculous pace. But Rohan, a 3-year-old, off 112, some performance. chaps.
One for the good guys, that was, wasn't it?
I mean, I tweeted about this yesterday, and to be honest, the new owners, I haven't got a problem with it at all. It's Chris Carley Racing, and the father of the owner, he's the former Charlton. Did he have? What is it? Was he a Middlesbrough goalie as well, John? Dean Kiley.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was Charlton, probably Charlton West Ham. It was more, but obviously it was a top keeper. And I've got no problem with these current connections, but I've got a problem with the previous ones. I mean, they were just varmints. I mean, they were, you know. I mean, when it won at Newcastle, so I think someone had the gall to tell me it was off at Newcastle. That it wasn't. Not only did I have info to say it wasn't, anyone that with half a brain just watched the ride back from Mullen. He couldn't do anything. he just sat there at the back. Everything stopped, and he's going through them like a knife through butter, not moving. He's not. Horse was doing it himself. He was saying, "Come on, chop chop."
Get out.
It was an amazing run. And then in the end, the last sort of like half furlong, he realised, well, I can't just sit here like a cutout. And then he starts to ride, and he obviously then, you know, proves that 55 was probably the most ridiculous piece of handicapping ever. And I mean, the Dara Keenan one upset me because when it got beat to Bravado at Lingfield, you know, I actually said to Christian Strangeway, who obviously people know, and I said to him, I said, do you actually think he stopped that? And we thought he had. We thought that's not overconfidence. That literally is, you know, that you can't. That it's baloney. But obviously he's not going to say that, is he? So he obviously told the stewards it's you know he felt they'd come back to him and all this rubbish. And it's just, as I said, the rest is history. So he's managed to get that beat off 85. Somehow, on 19th of February, he's managed also to get it beat to Norton Thorpe Boyd of Phil McIncheese. And then all of a sudden, for some strange reason, it's improved massively. You would probably possibly for turf. So there we go. Anyway, back to its performance. I'm not cribbing that because it was run in 1:15 flat, just about, which was just slightly slower than Dream of Dreams. Now, you take into account it's carrying £5 more than Dream of Dreams. You also take into account they got £7 weight for age from Dream of Dreams. So, in essence, Rohan would have beaten Dream of Dreams. I know it doesn't work out like that, but that's the scenario there on times, John.
You'd be hard pressed not to give it 120 at least for that, wouldn't you?
It's just a stunning performance. I mean, I did think Dragon Symbol was the best 3-year-old sprinter of this season, hence backing it for the
Commonwealth.
Yeah, and so yeah, it was. But if they met now, I don't know. I suppose it depends on race pace because obviously if there's not much speed on, then Dragon Symbol would beat Rohan. If there's plenty of speed on, then probably Rohan would beat Dragon Symbol, like a Haydock maybe.
Quite interesting in a July Cup, wouldn't it? Really, I'm assuming they're both in the July Cup, especially given the fact Dream Dreams is 5-1. So I would expect that they're saying. I'm just having a look at Rohan actually. Saying no entries for this horse, so he's got it in Nout.
No.
So that's pretty poor planning from Dangerous Dave, isn't it?
You'll have it in a claimer in Wolverhampton soon, I'm sure. Get the handicap.
I mean, you're right there. I mean, he's got an amazing. He's probably the best division out of all our or potential clashes for the flat season. The 6 furlong division's probably looking the best with the 3-year-old sprinters taking on the elders. That's probably the most fascinating clash I'd say this season. I would say. Can you think of a better one?
Yeah, it's looking much better than everything else at the minute, isn't it?
Well, the Miler division is basically Palace Pier against the Nasty Gyms.
Yeah.
The Stain division is probably the Philly Snowfall. She's probably better than the Colts, but I don't. I mean, what would Snowfall be doing rest of this season? Do you think? Have you any idea? Have you read anything that Aidan said for Snowfall?
Well, you'd expect Aidan to bar the pants off us with an Irish Oaks, Yorkshire Oaks, wouldn't you, really?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we'll have love for the key races, you would have thought, such as King George, possibly the Judgment as well, so you couldn't say love and that one running, could you?
No, not at all. Right, just briefly in the last couple of races, because we're running short on time. The Golden Gates handicap where you tipped John Fox's Tails shrewdly kept to the inside under O'Sheen, probably where the better ground was as well, and absolutely bolted up despite hanging back across the track. And I backed Glentanius in that. That shaped really well, by the way, folks. When that gets good to soft ground again, over probably another 2 furlongs, you're going to see a proper horse that will win a really nice handicap. Glentanius. Anything in that race, chaps, that you liked?
Well, it's Brian Meehan, though. That's the problem, isn't it, really? That's the
and Martin Dwyer.
Yeah, well, yes, quite. I've forgotten that. Yeah, that's. But yeah, it did shape well, but I think Brian Meehan is just not one for me, really. But I'm sure his family love him.
Yeah. John, anything in there for you?
Well, obvious bias here, but I was impressed with the winner. I thought it did it quite nicely, even though everything absolutely went right for it. I think it'll go on and prove itself listed class at the very least,
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's plenty of scope in it, John. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it makes a stakes horse. So
I don't think I'd rate the Varian House either. The Varian House at Sill Road, I don't think I'd rate that off ridden properly.
No.
But is it going to get ridden properly while it's in that ownership? That's the.
Well, that's the problem. The Jumpers bumper to finish, and old wicked Willie had his medicine chucked in the Tony Bloom horse, John.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it's even had its rating to win that, because otherwise, I mean, you're putting coal in the wind up an enormous amount anyway. I've kind of used the Grand Vizier as my marker horse, which again would sort of indicate to me that if the handicapper has a say after this, the Winsome Venetia has knackered things up a bit with Green Book's handicap mark by running in this and finishing 5th. I mean, the current rating's 86. You'd be hard pressed for that not going up a stone now. And she hasn't done herself any favours, really. I don't know what she got for finishing 5th yesterday, but I don't think it's adequate compensation. Oh, there was no prize money for 5th either, so she's done it for now.
Well, if you give Stratum its mark of 112, Green Book comes out at 104.
Yeah. He's going up a stone, isn't he?
Yeah. So yeah, I used to have a quarter in that. But yeah, it's obviously sold. Christian took it to France to run. Don't think it ever got on in France, and then Venetia's got it and absolutely pissed up at Chester. Didn't, like you say, it's probably a daft race to run in for him because, like you said, it will only go up now. So I don't know what the handicapper will make of that. Whether he'd have to rate Stratum probably £10 below form, to be realistic. But I don't know if handicapper will do that. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Right, on to your questions. And we've got 3 this week. And the first one I will take is from Ian Davis. He says, guys, Racing Post these days, is it meant to be a specialist industry trade paper? Apart from its database form, is there anything to recommend it whatsoever to the serious punter? You two, thoughts on this?
Well, I've already sort of alluded to it. I mean, I don't think it knows what it wants to be anymore. I mean, it is a vastly overpriced comic now, isn't it? And I think all the previous journalists, and I mean in the correct sense of the word, people that have got real craft and skill and experience have either retired or been given the boot, and they've been replaced largely by kind of bloggers and enthusiasts. And the problem with that kind of strategy is, and it's not just racing, is that these kind of people who join these jobs exhibit a word that I hate, which is passion, right? And passion is often misunderstood and confused with skill. Now, I've got passion for Tesco's strawberry donuts, right? I eat loads of them. But at no point, having consumed a packet of them, do I think, you know what? I could be a patisserie chef because I love donuts so much. And this is the problem when you recruit people who have enthusiasm and passion, but without the requisite skill. And so, that's the problem I think the Racing Post have got. Plus, they can't be seen to be actively promoting punting. So they pack it out with lots of sort of lifestyle features and, what a jockey has for breakfast, all that kind of crap. And that's the dilemma they've got. And I think that's true across a lot of the horse racing media.
Sure. John, do you want to add to that?
Well, I think the Post needs to stand up for the punting angle and have a bit of confidence in the product. It is a racing paper, allegedly, and they should feel comfortable about promoting the punting angle. And if not, they should be capable of arguing a case as to why they should promote the punting angle. I don't think it offers a great deal other than a fairly pricey option for collating your own notes and ratings. I must admit I very rarely read any of the articles these days. My enthusiasm for those sort of died when Paul Hay left.
My point exactly. Paul Hay, very experienced, talented journalist. But there seems to be a dearth of those people now involved in the sport, I think.
Well, he sort of summed it up in his open resignation letter to Millington, didn't he? He said it's like a glorified tipping sheet, and it's kind of what it was at the time when Paul left.
Yeah, good points, guys. From my perspective, I could completely concur with what you both said. Right, next question from Rob Jackson. He says, do you think it's unfair to water tracks at all? Shouldn't we at least have certain meetings that have natural ground? Well, we've got one in Bath. John, thoughts?
Yeah, sadly, we have no big meetings at Bath, have we?
I couldn't get up the hill. That's the problem.
That is the problem. My views on watering, I think it's slowly but surely ruining every decent track in the country. I think the only way forward, and we won't see it, would be when there's tapeta down everywhere, because this can't be maintained as it is.
No, it's like we talked about on the show the other night about drainage systems at tracks, and then you have to put more on, and so on and so on, and the trainers, the jocks, they all seem to want it. The trainers certainly do, because if the trainers didn't want it, they'd be saying, oh, we can't have this, can't we? So they're the ones that's calling.
There's very few trainers speak out about it. I know the Kilt's had a few pops when he's had a glut of firm ground horses in the yard, and Joe Lyons has been a big critic of overwatering in Ireland, but in the main, they keep the trap shut in the off chance that they get one that needs a bit of dig in the ground and they can put pressure onto Clarks to water.
Yeah. Just going back to Ascot and the sill bashing, Paul Richardson said he read a stat in the Post that basically Sill's gone a year at Ascot without a win and 35 rides since a win. So just more Sylvester bashing there.
Unless they have a quarter horse race at Ascot, I don't think Sill's going to ease that drought anytime soon. Is he?
Get Bob Baffert over to train those quarter horses. He's mastered, isn't he?
Yeah. Sill's just a fantastic gate jockey, he really is. But that's it. Andrew Woodman with our final question, John, and he says, is it right that racecourses are getting a 5-figure sum in media rights for every race? I believe they are, Andrew. I believe it's £10,000 a race. Is it time for a rule that a race prize money must be worth at least half the value of the race's media rights? And how do you think the BHA would react to such a suggestion, John?
Well, it's all a bit odd, really, about who's in charge of this money and who isn't. I mean, does it go to the BHA? Does it go to the RCA? Or what happens to it when they pay for these media rights? Because if the racecourses are getting it, I would assume it goes to the Racecourse Association, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm not actually sure how it works, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know.
No one does. That's the problem.
The jiggery pokery of who gets, who distributes it. Obviously, when I've been an owner in the past, it comes from Weatherby's, just goes into your, into your bank. But I've never, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you, who's got the cash. But anyway, that's that. I mean, to me, it's tracks that are putting on prize money. If they're getting £10,000 a race, it's disgraceful if they're putting on races that are worth certainly less than £5,000. In total prize money. The BHA also offer grants for the playing down to 8th place as well. But I just think the tracks are being very greedy. But that's what the tracks want. They just want, especially art tracks, they want wall to wall, Class 6 junk. That are paying nothing because they don't, and they're still getting the 10,000. It's brilliant, fantastic. It's a good business, and I think that's where again, we're sending racing down a terrible, terrible path. And again, BHA, wakey. Anyway, yeah. So right, that's the question for this week. Move on to a couple of topics that I picked and thought would be interesting. Charles Byrnes' son, Cathal Byrnes, has taken over the licence. Cathal and Charles. Well, Cathal was the one that allegedly was, he was the one looking after the horses. He was the one looking after Viking Ford that day. He was allegedly the one that administered the tackle. Obviously, can't prove it. There's no cameras. There's no. I've no evidence. But putting 2 and 2 together, we'll make 5 then. And Cathal Lynch has now been given a licence to take over the training there. Thoughts on that, chaps?
All for giving young people a chance and a leg up in the sport, Lee. I mean, I can't see how you'd be against that. Got to widen the appeal of the game.
Well, that's it. You can't knock a young lad for trying.
Susie Best got a great, entree into the sport. I mean, I think I'm all for it myself. So yeah.
John.
And in other news, there are moves to reanimate Peter Sutcliffe and put him in charge of re-educating sex workers.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, precisely. Or lorry drivers, one of them. Yeah, exactly.
I do think Horse Racing Ireland, are as bad as the BHA. Really, the way they run their sport is probably worse. I don't know. I mean, with the drugs and everything else, it's probably worse. But yeah, it's just making the game a laughing stock. Anyone could literally do anything without any punishment, basically. What's the solution? I don't know. I haven't got the answers, but it's certainly laughable. It's a bit like getting a clone of somebody like Rio Ferdinand. Say if Rio Ferdinand, when he didn't take his drugs test that time when he was playing for Manchester United, it's a bit like creating a clone of Rio Ferdinand and then just saying, well, he can play instead, it's just that's it. It's just no difference. It's just a waste. It's a circus. It's a circus, complete circus. Anyway, move on to our last issue that I brought. It's a mid-season trainers and jockeys report that I thought you'd find interesting. Basically, jockeys that are doing well so far in 2021 and jockeys not doing so well, and so on. So I'll start with the jockeys. And I use a barometer called winners above expectation. So basically, it's worked out on odds they ride and the amount of winners they should have rode and who's doing better than that and who's doing worse. Well, at the top this season, Marco Gianni, he's right at the top, 13 winners above expectation. Ross Ryan up there, Mark Crean, he's up there, 10 winners above expectation. O'Sheen, the champ, he's 7 winners above expectation. Some interesting ones at the bottom, though, chaps. Right, and I'll fire this off to you. Ben Curtis, 10 winners below expectation this year. Found that quite odd. Holly Doyle, 8 winners below expectation this year. Is that her being overbet, or is she riding too many crap horses? I ask you guys. 574 rides she's had this season, which is more than Luke Morris, John.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I personally don't think Hulls is the best at settling them. If there's not a lot of pace on, I think that's a bit of a flaw with her at the minute.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's something she'll get better at, but I think she's still a little way off being the finished article. She's got a lot of ability, but I think this is a dangerous time for her because she doesn't want to be believing all the press at the minute about her.
Yeah. Is there any jockeys that you like or don't like? Do you want me to check the stats now? You know, like.
How's the Doyle doing?
How is what?
The Doyle.
Oh, James Doyle. He's below par this season.
Yeah.
So our assessment is correct. The Doyle is 5 winners below expectation this season.
Yeah.
What about Edward Hyde? Is he on there? Is he still going?
Right.
He's still
Mark
playing.
Birch. How about Mark Birch? They're big rivals. No, I think. What about? I mean, the obvious one. What about Dettori? I mean, how does he rank? I mean,
Frankie, obviously not riding very much. He's hitting nearly 21%, and he's 1.5 winners above expectations.
Okay.
So Frankie's about par, for this season.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was amazed at like how low down, say, Ben Curtis was. I just couldn't believe that.
Why?
Do you think it's maybe anything due to the fact he's possibly not used to riding so many that go from the front and he's riding a lot for the kids?
Maybe.
Possibly. Yeah, quite possibly. And good to see as well. Old stopper Tom down there. Tom Eaves, 5% this year. 6 winners below expectation. Poor Tom, he's stopping them for everybody. It's what everyone's doing at the minute. 3rd run, sick Tom on. You know, the lad's won 3 Abbeys. You know, he doesn't get. You know, he's won three Abbeys at Longchamp as Tom, and he's going around. You know, giving float ups for all 3rd runs.
The Quealy or Eaves, get the Tom.
Yeah, feel sorry for Tom Eaves. Give Tom a chance. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. Anyway, moving on to the trainers. I thought there were some definitely interesting ones, and the top of the list is David Bowie. He's on 25% this year. Incredible strike rate. 11 winners above expectation. Grant Chewer is up there. 25%. 25 winners from 99 runners.
But you never give us any tips for those, Lee. What's going on? You're keeping those to yourself. All that information that's coming out of that yard, you're fucking sitting on it, aren't you?
Listen. He never says anything. He's watertight. He's
not one for the owners in the yard. You know, have a few quid on this. They won't.
No.
And he looks like a cop shit, doesn't he?
I promise I won't tell anyone. Yeah.
But again, I'll go to the ones that are doing really bad this year. And there's some really big names down here, really big. Well, I think really big. Michael Appleby, 13 winners below expectation for the cock watchers. Simon and Ed Crisford.
Wow.
11 winners below expectation, having a shocking season.
He'll be sacking won't he?
Yeah. Well, coincidentally, who rides for Simon and Ed Crisford? The Doyle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So who is it? Is it Simon and Ed, or is it the Doyle?
It's Ed. It's Ed. It was all right when it was just Simon.
Yeah. It's Ed. Out.
Get Ed. I don't care if he's only 11.
Yeah, get Ed out. That's what we said. That's the bar steward's ruling for this Sunday. Get Ed out.
Get back to school, Ed.
What about Roger Variance? Is he on it?
Roger Varian, yeah, of course, Roger will be on. Roger, this season, obviously, they usually get over bet, but he's just about par. He's about one winner above expectation.
Right.
So
probably one I bet. Yeah. That one. Fucking 2 on chance somewhere.
Yeah, just to finish off, others with bad seasons so far, everyone, is George Scott, terrible 6%. Yeah. Adrian Keatley, I mean, he was when he trained in Ireland, he was coming over with a juice and winning for fun up at air. He's 2% this year. Poor Stan Moore's 1 from 94. Poor Stan.
How's the Baron doing?
I thought he was dead, Stan Moore.
I'll get on to the Baron in a sec. James Fanshawe, he's doing no good on 8%. No. Carl Burke, just on 10%. That's for a trainer like him. That's pathetic. Sir Michael Stout, John, he's He's 3 winners below expectation. Is the Baron. So after a good start to the season, he's tailed off a little bit. Yeah. So all interesting going forward. But I was surprised by some of the big names. Crisford down there, Edford out. That's the sermon message. Right, going to finish the show this week with a lovely hands. Have you got any lovely hands you'd like to add? Anyone?
Other than my own, no, nothing.
Nothing. John?
No, my future may lie as a model of gloves, but not.
Yes. Hand model.
Right, my one for this week, just quickly to finish, is Roger Charlton's Nadine. Ran at Haydock yesterday under Trevor Whelan, converted jump jockey to the flat. Absolutely not off a yard. It was third. You could see in the final furlong he was at pains. He was not going any closer. It ran behind Manobo, that really good one of Godolphin's on debut, finished 6th under Safi. And finish well. They'll not want any more than about 75, and you can bet your life that if they're in a decent maiden next time out on the 3rd run for the mark, they'll bury it. If they're in a crap maiden, they'll probably try and win it and hope that there's a bunch of crap, and they end up with 75, 76. But I think this is mid-80s. I think this is a mid-80s Spain filly. She's by Golden Horn, and she's related to Sheikh Zayed Road, which you'll probably know well. And I think she's one for later this season. I really do, in staying handicaps, 1 and 4, 1 and 6. She'll be mid-80s at least. So that's Nadine, Roger Charlton. So hope you enjoyed the show. A few talking points there. If you want to get back to us on Twitter with any thoughts on what we've said today and how stupid we are, feel free to do so. That's all from me, Chris and John, and we'll be back on Friday as normal. Bye for now.